Hi,
Nikki here.
this is KastKing On The Line with your host, Nikki. Good evening, this is KastKing On The Line with Nikki. And today we have a very special guest, Captain and Pastor, Mr. Jamie Jackson from Freelancer Guide Service from the beautiful Lake Toho. Now, passion is defined as a strong and barely controllable emotion. It's a fire that burns inside of us, an unquenchable thirst that drives us beyond limits. To some, it may seem a bit impetuous, but to those that burn with the passion, there is no end to what they can and will do. Arthur C. Clarke says, the only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them into the impossible. And that is exactly the way Captain Jamie lives and breathes bass fishing. Now, I was very fortunate to be able to not only ask Captain Jamie from Freelancer Guide Service a few questions, but to also be able to fish with him on beautiful Lake Toho. I got to experience the passion that drives him, learn from the master in his craft, and see what separates him from most guys. Captain Jamie, it is such a pleasure. Thank you for coming tonight.
Hey, Nikki. Glad to be here.
It's so good to see you. I got to fish with Captain Jamie down at Lake Toho, and it was just such an experience. It wasn't just a fishing trip, and getting to fish with him was just, it was incredible. I was actually captivated. I got to ask him questions, and I learned so much from him. I learned why he does this. I learned story after story that drove him and made him what he is today. And like I said, I was very captivated, and I couldn't wait to have him on the show. Now, Captain Jamie, how long have you been a guide on Lake Toho? How did this all begin?
40 years. I started when I was 20 years old, and I used to be a customer of Freelancer Guide Service back in the mid-'70s. I'm not the guy who started this company. Ed Chansey started Freelancer Guide Service in 1970. And me and my dad used to come down here, where I grew up on a hunting preserve in Maryland. And we used to come down here every winter and hire Ed or one of his captains every winter. And I decided when I was just a kid that someday I was going to work for that guy. And there was nothing that was going to stop me from doing that. I used to tell him every year that someday I'm going to be one of your guides. And he would say to me, you know, give me a call before you come down here. I'll let you know if we have anything for you. So I didn't let anything stop me. And I decided when I was 11 that someday I was going to be one of his guides. So that's how I got the desire to do this, was because of Ed Chansey and the big bass in Lake Toho.
Wow. Now, where did it start from? Where did your passion for bass fishing, where did it start from? Where did it originate? What drove you into bass fishing?
Started as a kid. My dad loved bass fishing, and he took me out on the first time I ever was in a boat. He took me out on the Potomac River, fishing, trying to catch some catfish. And the first fish I ever caught out of a boat was a 5.5-pound smallmouth on night crawlers. And so that was my first fish, my first fishing experience, and my first fishing out of a boat. And I was 4 years old at that point, and I was ruined after that. So fishing,
you must have been hooked.
Yeah, I was hooked. Fishing was my passion from that day forward.
I know that feeling, getting hooked, and I mean, it drives you. There's nothing, you can't think about anything else. It's just, fishing just becomes your life. You live it, you breathe it, you eat it. It's just, I know that feeling, and it's amazing.
It was my life. And so as I was growing up as a teenager, I fished tournaments up in Maryland, and fished like a nut up there every week, every weekend, as much as I possibly could, traveling down to the eastern shore of Maryland, fishing the tidal rivers. And I decided when I turned 20 that I was going to go ahead and make this happen with Ed, whether he knew it or not. And so I called him, and he said that, you know, he didn't have anything for me at this point. He would let me know when he did. Well, I went ahead and bought a tent and made furniture for it, put carpeting in it, and hooked up my Suburban truck and my Ranger bass boat. saved up $2,000 and headed to Florida. And I called him from South Carolina and told him I'm halfway there. I hope you got something for me when I get there. And he said, well, since I'm already on my way, go ahead and come on down and we'll figure something out. And the rest is history. 40 years now of being a charter boat captain on Lake Toho, catching big bass with clients and showing people how amazing this lake is and the great big fish we have on Toho.
You had a passion, and you were not going to let anything get in your way. You were driven.
Oh yeah, I lived in a tent for 2 years on the edge of the lake at Red's Fish Camp, which Ed used to manage. And so yeah, I was living the dream. Still am.
Now, I want to ask you, but I think I already know the answer. Did you have a mentor? Was Ed your mentor?
Ed was my mentor as far as, well, my dad growing up, right, and getting me starting in bass fishing, Jim Jackson. And then Ed Chancey was my mentor as far as the guiding and getting into this business and doing what I do. I worked for him for about 6 years and then ended up becoming partners with him. He had 7 or 8 guides working for him, and some of those guys weren't so thrilled that this 20-year-old, or when I became partners, 26-year-old kid ended up becoming Ed's partner, and these guys were working now with me and Ed. So, and we worked together for until 1995, when he passed away, May 5th, 1995. And then I've been operating Freelancer Guide Service, and now it's AJ's Freelancer Bass Guide Service. But I've been operating the company myself since 1985. And we've become the largest, oldest, and busiest freshwater guide service in the state of Florida.
That is incredible, Jamie. That is absolutely incredible. Now, that's what separates you from most guides is you have this connection with nature. You have this, you're able to feel the fish. I remember when I was down there fishing with you, you were able to say, okay, we're going to go over here, we're going to do this, we're going to fish. And you could just feel it. You knew where to go because you're that close with nature. And that's what separates you from most guides, right? There's
more to bass fishing than just reading books and going out and practicing different techniques and being able to read sonar units. And there's visual signs that are given to you if you open your eyes and look for what nature is telling you. The bird life, the sky, everything's telling you what the fish are doing. So when the birds are extremely active, and here in Florida, we got all kinds of bird life on the lake. When they're noisy and active, you know that the fish are very active because everything is responding to the same cues. The sky tells you what's going on. High blue skies, you always got a high pressure system over top of you. And you got low hanging clouds, or the barometer's dropping, and that's when fish become extremely active. So everything around you tells you what's going on, the wind direction, and you got to be able to tune into this. And after fishing day after day, 7 days a week for years and years, you start to be able to feel what's going on with the fish, and understand what their mood is and how to approach them because of with the cues that you're getting, all the information that you're being given by nature all around you.
And again, that's not something that everybody has. That's not something you learn from a book. That's not something you go to class and learn. This is something that's instilled in you. This is something that's inside of you, that you were born with. This is a connection that you have with nature and with the fish and just being outdoors. I mean, I've seen so many of your beautiful pictures. Captain Jamie posts the most beautiful sunrises I have ever seen, and I've used some of them on my own Instagram posts. And he's out there catching them, and because again, he loves it out there, and he's up there out before everybody wakes up, and he stays out there as late as he possibly can. And like I said, that's just something you can't learn. That's something you connect with.
Yeah, the sunrises, you can tell how the day is going to turn out just by the way the sun comes up and what the clouds are doing when in the morning hours. So yeah, I love the sunrises. Everyone's different, and once that one's gone, it's gone forever. There'll never be another one like it. And so I like to take pictures of the sunrises, the lake in the morning. It's such a special time. The first hour of daylight is is a magic hour on Lake
Mhm.
Toho where everything comes alive, no matter what the weather is. I mean, the fishing is good in the mornings, no matter what. And so it's what I call the magic hour on the lake.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Now, you speak of Lake Toho, and you know Lake Toho better than anybody. I mean, like the back of your hand. How do you compare other lakes to Lake Toho? What is so unique about Lake Toho?
Well, there has to be one lake in the state of Florida that's the best lake, and Toho always has been, and it's the reason me and my dad used to come down here years and years ago, because Toho was the best trophy bass lake in the state. It always has been. More bass over 10 pounds are caught out of Toho than any other body of water in the state of Florida, and it's always been that way. And now the fishing has just been phenomenal. We're catching the heck out of fish. We get days now that are 40, 50, 60 fish days. I mean, by 12 o'clock noon. So the bass fishing has just been off the charts good. It seems to just be getting better and better.
Unbelievable. And when I was down there fishing with you, I caught my personal best, which I think was 911. It was over 9 pounds. That I remember. I mean, this
Yep.
thing was a beast. I have it up on my Instagram channel. I'll never forget that, Captain Jamie. It was such a just a memorable experience. Like I said, going out there with you is not just fishing. And I like to tell that to everybody, that the fish are always the bonus. It's
Yeah.
being out there with nature. And I know you agree with that more than anything. And that's why I connect with you a lot, is because of your love of nature. And I love it. It keeps me going. And it's helped me survive in more ways than one. And I know
Yeah.
it's helped you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's something healing about being out on the lake. And for me, being out on Lake Toho is just an amazing thing. All the stress of your life and everything that builds up during the stressful week just falls away when you're out on the lake, and it's just a magical place to be. And the day that you were out, the last time you were out with me, we fished Lake Toho, went through the locks and down through the canal and fished Lake Cypress also. So you got to see a couple of the lakes on the chain. But we have East Lake Toho, then West Lake Toho, go down through the locks to Lake Cypress, Lake Hatchenhall, Lake Kissimmee, and then Lake Okeechobee. And this is the headwaters for the Florida Everglades. And it's just a really amazing environment, full of gators and all different types of wildlife. And you're just surrounded with so much out there. And when the fishing's good, the noises out on that lake are just unbelievable. I mean, it's a loud lake to be on because of all the life that's out there.
I remember you took me to a special spot where I did my interview with you out there, and we were out in the middle, and the sun was just coming down. We were just ending our day, and it was just, like I said, I was captivated. I was overwhelmed with the beauty of that lake and the noises, the birds that were coming in, and you were calling out every bird, telling me which one is this and which one is that. And it was just unbelievably beautiful. There's something about it. It's just, you go out there and you're sitting out there and you're quiet for a little bit and you could feel it. You just feel the energy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's it. You feel the energy of the lake. It's such an alive place. Not just the fish. I mean, we got so many fish of all different types, bass, crappie, bluegills, catfish, but all the wildlife that's out there. It's like part of the Everglades in Central Florida. And the lake is just heavily vegetated, almost from one side to the other. It's 22,700 acres of just pure, amazing, amazing ecosystem, just full of life. And that's the thing about Toho. There's more to catching, more to a day on the water of Toho than catching fish. It's all the things that happen around you, all the life that's around you, all the amazing sights that there are. All the vegetation, and just thousands of acres of grass. It's just a great place to spend a day.
It is absolutely incredible, and I was very, very lucky to have experienced that with you. There's a saying that you say a lot. I've seen you post it about something about being on the lake doesn't add years to your life, to a man's life, and that's your saying, right? And that's your saying.
Yeah. used to say that all the time. Yeah, I say it all the time. Time spent on the water isn't deducted from someone's life. So the more time you spend on the water, the longer you're going to live, because that time isn't deducted. You know. So I'm like 26 now. I spent all my time out there. So all the years aren't deducted. So I'm maybe 26.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love
60, but I feel like 26.
That's all that matters. It's how you feel. It's what's in your heart.
Yep.
Now, if you give me 1 second, we have to have a word from our sponsors. KastKing offers you affordable innovation through the best fishing tackle, including a wide variety of quality fishing rods, fishing reels, fishing line, and fishing accessories. Look for KastKing products on Amazon.com, Tackle Warehouse, AcademyOutdoors.com, eBay, and of course, KastKing.com. Make the switch to KastKing like so many fishing pros have. All right, we are back with Captain and Pastor Jamie Jackson. We were just discussing Lake Toho. What is your personal best bass, Captain? I have to ask that.
Well, we're proud to say we've got the 2 biggest bass ever caught out of Lake Toho. Ed holds the lake record, which he caught in 1979, May 10th, 1979. And this fish was spawned out. It was 16 pounds, 10 ounces. The fish would have weighed probably in excess of 18 pounds if it would have been full of eggs and caught during January. It was 30.5 inches long. The world record is 32 inches long. So it was 1.5 inches shorter than the world record. My biggest is 15 pounds, 8 ounces. And I caught that fish also in the month of May in 1987. And that one was 29.75 inches long. And was 15 pounds, 8 ounces. Now, Ed's had a girth of 22 inches. I don't remember what the girth was on the one that I caught, but his was 22 inch girth.
I'm in awe. That's incredible. Oh, wow.
So that's my personal biggest.
That's awesome. Wow. I mean, that's, like I said, that's incredible. I don't know what I'd do if I caught a fish like that. I'd probably pass out. And then jump up and down. Now, today in social media age with video games, computers, etc., how do you keep the sport of fishing alive and vibrant to attract the younger crowd? I know you have younger fishermen that come out on the boat that you guide. Have you had a lot of children come out fishing?
Used to be back in the 1980s that we didn't get a whole lot of kids out on the trips, or even guys bringing their wives out on the trips. It was usually just guys back then. Things have changed. You know, Disney World is part of the reason for that. We're right here next to Disney World. So these are more family events now than anything else. It's, you know, mothers, fathers, and their kids coming out on these trips almost most of the time. Probably, you know, over 90% of our trips are with families that are here for Disney World and want to get a day out on Lake Toho while they're here. Oh, so yeah, wow. It's become really big. I love doing the trips with the kids. I just like, you know, seeing kids get into fishing. It's such a good way to get started into something good in life. And so the trips with the kids are just so good. We focus on them when we're out there, and they catch just as big as fish as anybody else when we're fishing with the live bait, the wild shiners.
I can't imagine the excitement. I mean, you must get so excited to see the look on their faces, the excitement from a little child catching a big fish on Lake Toho. It must be exhilarating.
Oh, yeah. I had a girl, and it just popped into my mind. I had a young girl. It was her 13th birthday, and she caught one that was just over 13 pounds that day. And,
I'd kill for that.
It was her mother and father and her, and she caught the biggest fish of the day. So yeah, it's just, those are memories that they'll have for the rest of their life. And this is what Lake Toho does. It's a memory making machine.
Right. It draws people in, and it brings out their innermost child. It makes them feel like what it's, as for me, that's what I could speak from my experience. It brought out my inner child, catching bass with you, but not just the fish. Like, again, just being out there, I felt like a little kid again, enjoying nature, watching the birds, just watching the water as the boat runs across, watching the sunrise over the water and watching everything come to life right around you. It encompasses you. It truly encompasses you. It's a magical experience. It really is.
It's why I'm here now. It's because I used to come down here as a kid, and fishing up north was never the same. So I had to move to Florida and then do this. And I may have taken a little bit further than some people would have. I turned it into my life, but it's something that sticks with you. Lake Toho is a special place.
It truly is. It really is. I'm just happy to experience it. Now, you have been fishing the lake since the 70s. What changes have you seen in the ecosystem? Any changes in the way that you fish? Anything you have to do differently now to adapt to it?
Yeah, there is. We've had, when I first came down here and back in the 70s, when we used to come down here on vacations, fishing Toho, there was only the native grasses, maiden cane, buggy whip reeds, and bulrushes, cattails, lily pads. Now we have hydrilla, and the bass love the hydrilla, and now it's a new pattern. It's one of the biggest patterns as far as fishing the bass on Toho, is focusing on the hydrilla beds out in open water, and these fish really love that stuff. So there's a whole different way now of fishing a lake because of the introduction of hydrilla. There are drawbacks to it. The state has to do a lot of management to keep the hydrilla under control, but it's been something that's really been good for the fishing overall. Although I liked it without the hydrilla, just fishing the maiden cane. But the population of fish in the lake has gone up so much because we have hydrilla. We now have vegetation from one side of the lake all the way to the other. There's parts of this lake that are over 4 miles wide, and it's fish from one side to the other. So it's a new way of fishing the lake that has started, probably 25 years ago with the hydrilla.
That's unbelievable. I've learned so much from you about that when I was able to interview you out there, and I talked to you about this, and you had told me about the hydrilla and everything, and it actually helped my way of fishing by learning Florida. I come from New York, completely different fishing. When I was in New York, and I came down here, I'm thinking, oh, bass capital of the world. It's going to be great. I'm going to catch fish every single day. This is going to be perfect. And I go out there and I'm fishing, and it's a completely different way of fishing. You have to learn the water. You have to learn how the fish adapt. You have to learn what they want. It's not the same like New York. You're not just going to come down here and wing it,
You're exactly right. And I'm from Maryland. On the western side of Maryland, we have deep reservoirs that are 170 feet deep. The eastern shore are all tidal rivers. The Florida lakes, we don't have any water over 10 feet deep in these lakes, and are heavily vegetated. You pretty much got to throw everything out that you knew from up north and relearn how to fish Florida. And then also the Florida bass, it's not the same fish that lives up north. This is the Florida strain largemouth, and they have different characteristics and ways that they act, and they tend to group up, where the northern largemouth doesn't do this so much. We get into areas where there'll be hundreds of bass within an area. They're not schooling, but they're grouped within certain areas because of the bait fish population, and they follow the bait. But it's a different way of fishing. Mostly soft plastics, and it's baits that are weedless, some top water in the morning, or even jerk baits work well here. But we got to fish weedless baits, or baits that we can fish through heavy grass. And so it's a different way of approaching the fish. And everything is 10 feet or less, hard sand bottom. So it's as flat as a pool table.
Wow. Again, I learned so much from you. That's why I love this. And, Lake Toho is your office. That is your office. You're literally immersed in Mother Nature. And I think I already know the answer to this, but is that being your office, do you ever get bored of it? I mean, you must never get bored of it. This is your life?
No, how can you get bored of a place like this lake? It's just there's so much. There's no 2 days that are the same. In all the years I've been fishing this lake, every day is different, and the environment's different. The life is different. The gators. I mean, all the things that happen out there. It's always a unique experience each day out.
Absolutely, absolutely, and then that's what I love about it. It's something different every day. You have a different experience. You're catching different fish, different sunrise, different. Every day is something different. It's not the same office, like you're sitting at a desk and you have the same pictures on the wall, staring at the same computer. I mean, your office changes every single day,
Yeah.
especially with the weather.
So you never know everything. As long as I've been doing this, I'm still learning, and the lake is still teaching me. And the day you think you know it all, you might as well just stop, because you're never going to get any better from that day forward. So I've always kept an open mind on observing what's going on around me and letting the lake teach me new things daily. And it's a different way of approaching fishing. A lot of guys think that they're so much better than others. There's something to be learned from everyone. I get customers out on the boat, and I learn from them. They learn from me, and you got to keep your mind open to learning new things and different ways of approaching fish. And the lake teaches you. People that I fish with teach me, and I try to pass on my experiences and what I've learned over the years with the clients that go out with.
And you honestly have. You did me. I mean, you taught me so much, and I'm always a big firm believer in the people we meet. I don't think are ever by chance. I think the people we come across we're always meant to meet somebody. They're always supposed to cross those paths with people in life. And I think every time we meet somebody and every time we have a connection with them and talk with them, we take a little bit of that person with us. And I've taken you with me everywhere. What I've learned with you, your passion, your drive, your love of nature and the outdoors, I've taken that with me wherever I go. So I very do believe in that. And speaking of new things, you recently, within last year, I think you became a pastor, right?
Yes, Pastor Jamie with Living Grace Christian Church. I'm one of the founders. We started the church August 9th of last year, so we're into our second year now of services. And it's one of my passions, and it's what I do. It's the next chapter of my life. Lake Toho that chapter is never gonna close, but it's a new chapter that's opening up.
Is this something you've always wanted to do? Did fishing or being a guide tie into this, or just something separate? Or
it's something that came into my life a couple of years ago, and I developed this passion for Jesus and following him, and became members at a local church, City of Life Hillsong Church, which is a mega church, a worldwide church, Hillsong Church. And I got the motivation to become a pastor from there, from City of Life Hillsong Church. And then I went to school of ministry and got my pastor's degree, found some like-minded people that wanted to get into this with me. And so there's 3 of us that started the church. My son, Tyler, he's our video production team and his company. So I'm just blessed to have Tyler to do our video production and all of our editing, and his team. He owns his own company, One Stop Media. And so everything just kind of has fallen into place like puzzle pieces, just the way they were supposed to. And bass fishing was kind of the lead up to me becoming a pastor, becoming in touch with my spiritual self, and my, yeah, sure. So that's where a lot of this started from. And so now I'm Captain Jackson / Pastor Jamie.
Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I love that now, especially nowadays. The world we live in today is crazy and chaotic. I mean, what better than to be more in touch with Jesus and I mean, I think that's wonderful. And you're helping people yet again. Not only are you helping them out being a guide and opening them up to nature, and which is healing in itself, but now being a pastor, you're helping people and opening them up to God. So you're amazing.
What surprises me about how everything has turned out with bass guiding, and then Living Grace Christian Church, is we now have 1,176 members to our church.
Oh my gosh.
In a little over 1 year.
And that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. It's my next chapter. And so I'm living the old chapter and opening up a new one with Jesus and spreading his word and teaching people how to build their relationship with Jesus in a closer, more intimate way.
And continuing down that path of helping and healing people, which is what I love about you.
And it's all the same type of thing.
Exactly, it ties in together.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
Yeah, it all ties in together. Doing really not much different than what I was doing before, except for the message is a little different.
Captain Jamie, Pastor Jamie, thank you so very much for joining us today. Everyone has a story. Everyone comes from different backgrounds with different morals, different beliefs. But one thing that binds us, and there's one thing that intertwines our souls, and that is that we all have a drive. We all have something that keeps us moving forward, an intense desire, an ardor for someone or something, a deep, fervent emotion. In Captain Jamie here, this is what guides him. This is what pushes him. This is what drives him and gets him out of bed every day. And it's not just bass fishing. It's not just being a guide. There is so much more to it. It is so much more deeper. And that's what we talked about here today. And that's what I love about Captain Jamie. Again, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Thank you so much, Captain Jamie.
So can I say one more thing?
Sure, you absolutely can.
So you mentioned something there that struck a chord with me, is if you have a dream, dreams come true. Don't let anything stand in your way from living your dream. And if you want it bad enough, it'll come true. You will have all that you dreamed of in your life. And that's what I've done. And it's not because I've had special skills at what I do. I had a passion, and the passion took me where I am. And so don't ever let anything stand in your way. Don't ever let anyone stop you or discourage you from being able to live your dream. And dreams are real.
Thank you so much for that. I'm so happy you said that. That's something that, especially today, needs to be heard and needs to be felt. Really, really. Thank you so much, Captain Jamie.
Thank you, Nikki. Glad to be here.
I can't wait to get out there and go.
Looking forward to when you get down here and we go fishing again.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. Okay, KastKing spells affordable innovation. Make the switch to KastKing for the best value in fishing gear. KastKing offers you an affordable, quality alternative to high-priced fishing products. Thanks for spending time today with KastKing on the Line. And thank you again, Captain Jamie. It was such a pleasure. Keep grinding. You. Stay strong, always stay humble, and always keep on fishing. And I'll catch you in the next adventure. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.